This is Andrew with Android Central, and we're here in sunny San Francisco where LG has just shown us the LG V40 for the first time. So this is the successor or complementary device to the LG G7 that was released earlier in the year, and that's immediately apparent as soon as you take a look at the V40. It's built on the same platform as the G7 with a few enhancements that really make this a different level of device, a higher level of device. So the basics of the LG V40 are like the G7, Snapdragon 845, 6 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of storage, and the kind of pillars or main tenets that LG has grown over the last couple of years. So we have the LG boombox speaker, which gets extremely loud and lets you use an open box as a resonator for the speaker. It also has a headphone jack, go figure, and that headphone jack is supported by a hi-fi 32-bit quad DAC. Elsewhere in the V40 is again very similar to the G7 when you go to the hardware and design. So it's got a 3300 milliamp hour battery under the back, and that means that the V40 can still be relatively compact with a very similar exterior design of metal around the edges with a high gloss finish and glass around the back. On the front, of course, there's still a display notch, and the display has grown in size just a little bit, going up to 6.4 inches diagonal. It's still a full vision display. They're talking about greater color accuracy, better colors, better brightness from this OLED panel compared to just the G7 from earlier this year. But the big story with the V40, as it's been with the rest of the V series, is the cameras. All of LG's marketing is going to be about the penta camera, or the 5-camera system. It's a little bit of a misnomer because it's not using all the cameras all the time. You just have 3 on the back, so the front 2 can still do all kinds of great things with bokeh and all kinds of different portrait modes, things like that, slightly wider angle and a standard angle one. But the interesting part is the rear camera setup. So just as we expected, it has a main camera and then a wide angle camera, as LG has basically made famous in the flagship arena, and then a telephoto camera. So you get the best of all 3 worlds, really. Usually you have to pick 2 of the 3. So let's start with the wide angle and the telephoto first. The telephoto, very standard. You get 2x optical zoom and you can digitally zoom from there as well. 1 micron sensor, pretty normal stuff. The wide angle, also very similar. Just like the G7, talking about a 1 micron sensor, really striking wide angle shots. But the main camera is stealthily massively improved over the G7. It's 12 megapixels, but the sensor size is increased by 40%. So each pixel is 1.4 microns over just 1 micron on the G7. And that was one of the big shortcomings on the G7. You got the wide angle camera, but you felt like you gave up something in the main camera. On the V40, 1.4 microns and an f1.5 lens means that low light is going to take a big jump over the G7, and it really needed that to challenge the competition. And LG isn't just giving you 3 individual cameras to choose from, one on one. You can use all 3 together for a triple shot, where you can select triple shot, take 1 photo, and it cycles through and takes all 3. You can also get a triple preview to see what each one, wide angle, telephoto, and standard, will see at the same time. You can just long press on the viewfinder and you can get all 3 at once, because you don't want to be cycling between all 3 cameras to see what each one does. After you see the one that you like, you switch to triple shot, you can take all 3, it can do an animated GIF to switch between them, or you can just pick out the one that you like the most and you're off to Instagram. The LG V40 is going to be coming to major US carriers, and for the first time LG is actually rolling it out quickly after launch. We won't have to wait a whole month for it to show up, and they're also standardizing the SKUs across the world. So you're going to 6 gigabytes of RAM, 64 gigabytes of storage, SD card expansion, across the world. There's no shortcomings in terms of RAM or storage, and you don't have to worry about giving up any sort of features like wireless charging or the quad DAC, depending on where you go. You're going to be able to go get the same V40 no matter what. In the US, there's going to be this stunning, nice black color, and also a Moroccan blue, very similar to the ones we've seen before, named Moroccan blue with the G7 and V30. But The big deal here is going to be the pricing. We don't have all the details on that just yet. We just picked up this phone just a moment ago. You're going to have to wait for that in our full review, which will be here on the Android Central YouTube channel. Thanks for watching our hands-on with the LG V40. You're going to have to subscribe and make sure that you don't miss our full review and additional coverage of the V40 in the coming weeks. So be sure to keep it locked right here on the Android Central YouTube channel and AndroidCentral.com. Thanks for watching.
Do you wanna take me?